Hello everybody, here we are today doing the final week of CFL predictions for the regular season. Obviously I'll be doing this through the playoffs, but yeah, before it was even started, it feels like the season is already over. It goes by in a blink of the eye. So we have our final predictions for the regular season before we kick off the playoffs. So before we start, please make sure to subscribe if you're new to me or the CFL. With that being said, let's get into it. So I did want to say, obviously, I haven't been doing my recaps on here lately. I apologize. It just kind of snowballed, and I'm going to make sure I do recaps for the playoffs, and I'm going to try to actually go back and do quick recaps of the regular season, probably in the off season. But the first game that we have here for the week will be the Winnipeg Blue Bombers traveling to Calgary to play the Stampeders. This is going to be a game where, just like basically every game, you're going to see a lot of backups in. You're going to see a lot of guys that are starters get some reps, but probably not play as many reps as they would normally. This is going to be a game 2 where you get to see Drew Brown play probably Tommy Stevens. So I'm kind of looking at this and saying, okay, you've got a lot of guys that are going to be resting for both sides, because for both of these teams, absolutely meaningless in terms of standings, because the regular season has got everything set up like it was last year. And for this game, I'm going to say look out for Drew Brown. I know that kind of sounds like an obvious thing. Brown is a guy that, is been pretty good for Winnipeg whenever he's been able to play out there, and has looked really, really good in certain games. I think that this is kind of interesting because he could be a guy that Winnipeg is hoping has a bad game. I really don't know what his contract status is right now. I probably should have looked that up before I did this video. But let's say he has a good game to close out the year and he is a free agent or a year away from being a free agent. You could look at a team like maybe Edmonton, a team like Ottawa especially, that could say, all right, we would really be interested in bringing him in. Edmonton, maybe not so much because they do have Ford, but there certainly are some teams that would probably be interested in bringing in Brown, considering how he's been able to play well. And if this goes well for him here, maybe this is the kind of the gate being opened, or the door being opened to him being a starter in the league regularly. As for the Stampeders, again, you're probably seeing Tommy Stevens go out there and be the starter. It's really weird because you're not really sure what you're going to get with Stevens, because this year Mayer has played every game, started every game, I think. Going into this week, probably the only quarterback besides Collaros to do that. Yeah, Collaros didn't do that for one of the games, I think. But anyway, yeah, Mayer's been there. He's been the staple. He has thrown like 563 out of 570 passes for Calgary this season. With Stevens, he is a bigger guy and a guy that they like to have run around a little bit. I don't know. I don't think they're going to want him to run around a whole lot in this game. Again, it's meaningless. You don't want him to get hurt, especially with Mayer obviously playing a good BC team in the Western semifinal. You'd hate to have your backup get knocked out in this game and then go on to see your starter get hurt in the playoffs the next week. Then have to go to a different quarterback. For this game, I think I'm going to pick Winnipeg here. I really do like Brown as a starter. The Blue Bombers still are going to have some guys that are going to get to play that are good. They have some other pieces that might be underrated. Calgary, again, not really sure what's going to go on for this one because we don't even get to see the depth charts just yet. But I do believe in Brown, and that's kind of where I'm going with this one. And we will see. Second game of the week out of 3 of the Hamilton Tiger Cats traveling to play Montreal, who they will coincidentally do or play against in the following week in the Eastern semifinal. These two teams know each other pretty well, and at this point you have Hamilton where they will be traveling to Montreal yet again. So it's back-to-back weeks in Quebec. I'd be curious to see how it goes. Will they be staying in Quebec? All that stuff, I really don't know. I would assume yes, but yeah, you're at this spot right now where these two teams are going to be resting their guys, but you have experienced backup quarterbacks in Hamilton and in Montreal. Caleb Evans is a guy that was the starter for a bit in Ottawa. So he will probably be starting for Montreal in this game, and kind of mixed results with him. You are hoping that he can get to the point where he can be a starter in the league. I feel like I've kind of given up on that, but I do think he is a good backup. As for Hamilton, you've got Schultz, you've got Powell. There's multiple options that they could go through here. The game really is one of those that could be a coin flip in this one. The running back situation for Montreal I don't think is necessarily bad, so maybe that plays a factor. Montreal banged up a little bit. I think I'm going to go Hamilton here just because, again, they have multiple guys that they could run out here, throw out here onto the field and get a win, have things go a little bit better for Steinauer as they approach the playoffs in what very well could be his last season with the team. You want things to end well. If you get a win here to improve your standings, and then you get a win in Montreal in the Eastern semifinal, you think he's probably safe. Lose here in this meaningless game, and then lose again in Montreal in the playoffs. Probably the end for Orlando, and that would just be a shame considering they went to the Grey Cup in 2019 and 2021. Then the final game of the week, you have the Toronto Argonauts playing the Ottawa Redblacks. This one is supposed to be Duke starting the game. I am just going to say this. I actually think this game is meaningful. Kind of the same situation that we see with Winnipeg and Calgary. If Brown is able to have a good game and he is a free agent, then you're looking at it and saying, okay, maybe he could go somewhere else. Whereas this game, I kind of look at it as, can Crum be that guy? Is he that guy? Right now, I really don't know, because there's been a lot of games where Ottawa will have the lead at halftime. I think I'm going to go back and look, and I'll probably got to fly here, and I'm going to look and see what their score would be, and then post it on Twitter/X to see if the score ended at halftime, would they have a winning record? Because it certainly does feel like it. How many times do you see Ottawa go out there and score 20, 30 points, maybe not 30, but 24 points in the first half, and then go out and then get a field goal in the second half? Don't know what's going on here with Corey Jones and how they run things, but yeah, you have them, and then the Argos playing. This is a game where if Crum plays poorly, I think it could be the end of his time as the potential starter in Ottawa. Central said something like that the other day on his story, and I agree with it. So for this game, I'm picking Ottawa because I do think that there's a lot at play here. Is there going to be some changes at head coach? Are there going to be some changes with how this team is thrown out here by the end of this season? In the offseason, it kind of remains to be seen. So Toronto very well could win this game, and they have a lot to play for in the sense that they could have their first 16-win season in franchise history. I know it really doesn't mean a whole lot in the sense of everybody wants to stay healthy and then win another championship. But if you're able to keep everybody healthy and then get a 16-win season, something that this team's never been able to do before, that'd be really good, because the Argos have had some really good teams in their history. They had some really good teams, obviously, in the 90s. So just kind of seeing if they can make history. But for this, I'm going to pick Ottawa because I do think they have something to play for, and it could be their jobs. So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for me this week. I don't know how closely I'll watch some of these games. Got some stuff going on this weekend, and again, getting ready for the playoffs. I will be picking, as I said, Winnipeg, Hamilton, and Ottawa. We will see how all that goes. And again, I do apologize for not doing the recaps. I want to do more on this channel. When you have a job, when you have a life, and you've got another channel, it's just like you're just so, there's not enough time in the day. And I try to post relatively often on Bush League for the Instagram. If I'm ever able to do this as a career, I promise this will be something that is a full-time job. So I just kind of wanted to talk about that and address that. So anyway, everybody, please make sure to stay safe. Have a great night, and everybody get ready for the playoffs, because I am ready to go.